The search for a missing Albuquerque teacher and her boyfriend is growing more intense as search crews try to track down their plane.
Yeah, they're doing it in some very rough and snow-covered terrain up here. You know, it's been 4 days since the plane went missing, but the pilot's daughter tells us here at News 13 she thinks her dad could very well still be alive. The search for Melissa Watson and her boyfriend, Howard Guthrie, started Tuesday morning with crews in the air and on the ground here in southern Colorado and in the northern part of New Mexico. Investigators say the two took off from the airport in Moriarty on Friday. They were headed to Pagosa Springs in southern Colorado, but couldn't land there because of some bad weather. The last GPS signal from the plane came from somewhere over the snow-covered forest southeast of Pagosa Springs. We talked with Howard Guthrie's daughter, and she says her dad knows what he's doing. He's been flying planes for 15 years.
He always talked about, if anything ever happened, he would try to find an open field or a place to land safely. So I'm just hoping that whatever happened, he was able to safely land.
And if they were able to land, here's a glimmer of hope. Guthrie's daughter thinks they were planning on skiing this weekend, so they should have lots of cold weather gear with them.
And this morning, an entire community is holding out for hope that the two are found safe.
It's very, very sad for this school because it's like a community over here. It's a really family-oriented school, and it's sad. I hope something happens quick and they find her.
I'm trying to just hang on to hope. I'm hoping that the plane didn't crash. I know there was a lot of bad weather on Friday into Saturday. So trying not to think the worst, but just considering all possibilities.
And support continued pouring in overnight with messages on Facebook to a relative of the pilot. One person saying, quote, "I pray they are found safe." Another person said, "My heart is with you."
Meanwhile, investigators are still trying to figure out if bad weather is what caused the plane to go down near Klein's Corners last week. The Federal Aviation Administration says the pilot was on his way to Phoenix from Amarillo Wednesday when he crashed into this fence just feet from Highway 285. You can see it was snowing lightly with a lot of blowing wind at the time. Investigators still have not said who that pilot was.
A frightening wake-up call for an Albuquerque family after their home catches fire. Officials are blaming something the family was using to keep warm. New this morning, around 1 this morning, AFD responded to the house fire near Glen Rio and I-40. AFD tells News 13 the fire started in the back of the house near the fireplace. The family was able to make it out of the house, but crews had to help rescue the family dog. Luckily, no one was hurt. Crews were able to quickly put the fire out within minutes. Now, here are some facts AFD wants you to remember when trying to stay warm this winter season. Properly maintain your chimney. You can do this by routinely cleaning it out and to clear debris before lighting a fire.
One of the officers, Albuquerque police officers, who shot homeless camper James Boyd in the foothills, this was back in March, is now retiring.
Yeah, News 13 has learned his timing lets him avoid some really tough questions and collect his pension right away. Officer Keith Sandy was one of 2 APD officers who shot and killed Boyd in March. Sandy had been on paid leave ever since, but late Tuesday, APD confirmed Sandy had filed for retirement. News 13 has learned Sandy had recently been ordered to interview with internal affairs investigators. Retiring lets him avoid that altogether. Also, News 13 has learned that Sandy has earned 19 years of service time, and under his pension plan, he can purchase one more, getting him to that magic number of 20. APD officers with 20 years service can start collecting 70% of their annual pay immediately. Sandy has been the subject of a federal criminal investigation for his role in the Boyd shooting. But News 13 reported earlier this year that he is unlikely to be federally charged. 5 more people have joined a suit against the Archdiocese of Santa Fe, accusing priests of sexual abuse. More than 24 victims have made similar claims in recent years. The latest lawsuits allege 3 victims suffered abuse in Las Vegas, New Mexico, dating as far back as the 1970s. Another alleged victim says she was abused by a priest here in Albuquerque.
All right, 6:05. Some folks here in Albuquerque are quite fed up this morning. They say if thieves hit their mailboxes once again, that it could be because of the Postal Service.
Yeah, they say they have a cluster mailbox that's been out of order 3 times now, twice after crooks broke it open. They say the Postal Service has not completely fixed that problem. News 13's Catherine Mazzone spoke with them and the Postal Service about what's going on here. She's live on Jefferson near Lomas with the very latest. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Crystal, Matt. Now, residents who use this mailbox say they've had one too many problems with it. Now, take a look. Here's what they say the problem is. It's this flimsy lock that's held on only by these 4 aluminum rivets. They say that is the only thing standing in between thieves and their sensitive information.
The way they're designed right now are really to keep your friends out of your mail. They're not to keep anyone that's intent on breaking into the box out of your mail.
Lee West and his neighbors are tired of coming out to get their mail and finding this, absolutely nothing. West says one time, after 2 days with no mail, he went around to the other side of the mailbox to find it cracked open. Crooks had struck. They were hit by thieves again just last month. West says the problem is the box's design. Things like the weak lock on the postal carrier side and the latches on the back that bend easily.
The boxes need to be redesigned. I've noticed other boxes in town that are more current than these boxes, and they're much more difficult to break into.
Now, we talked to the Postal Service to find out why they keep fixing a box, or repairing it rather, that seems like it's not even secure. Well, they told us that they don't replace boxes unless there's no fixing them. So yesterday afternoon, though, we got a call from a Postal Service representative who gave us quite a different answer. We'll have that coming up in our next half hour. Back to you.
All right, thanks for that information, Catherine. Now, West also says they've asked the Postal Service if each home could buy their own individual mailbox. A Postal Service representative told us that all new neighborhoods get the cluster mailboxes because they say it's faster, requires fewer workers, and they believe it's more secure.
Albuquerque's police department is now joining forces with a social media website to connect with neighborhoods. More than 160 neighborhoods in Duke City use nextdoor.com to find out what's going on in their area. People post everything from criminal activity to lost dogs and cats. APD says it's now linking 6 police stations to the website. You can sign up for free. We made it really easy for you. Just hop on over to KRQE.com.
An expert on Tasmanian devils is in Albuquerque to show support for the Rio Grande Zoo after Jasper's murder. Andrew Kelly was the one who actually trained the Albuquerque Zoo staff on how to care for the animals, which are on loan from Australia. Kelly is here to show Australia still supports the zoo's program despite the mysterious killing of Jasper just last month. It'll be a costly cleanup to get the waste isolation pilot plant near Carlsbad back open. Senators Tom Udall and Martin Heinrich are seeking $113 million. WIP has been closed since February after a fire, then a radiation leak from a canister that had been shipped from Los Alamos National Lab. Here's what we know so far, though. Cleaning up the plant and resuming full operations could take years. The cost has been estimated at more than $500 million.
Albuquerque now has a mile-high neighborhood. It's a stretch of San Pedro between I-40 and Lomas. It sits literally a mile above sea level, hence the name. City plans to spruce up the area with bike lanes and landscaping. It's now one of several neighborhoods in Albuquerque trying to boost business by rebranding. Others include the International District and the Bricklight District near UNM.
Works.
I do hope so.
That would be pretty nice. Time now.